for our fourth Friday. And it just, I messaged her while I was at school. I said, hey, I need some guests tomorrow. And she's like, let's get Steve Hemphill to call in. And I haven't talked to Stephen forever, so he's going to be calling in here in just a minute. And then Brother T. Rawls is going to come in. And, I haven't had a chance to really visit with him, and he has filled in for me a bunch. And I'm just so thankful for him. So we're going to just, I'm just saying, hello real quick. I'm expecting Steve to call me in just any minute. So we're going to enjoy talking to Steve. While we're waiting for him to call, I want to remind you that we have the Recovery Fest happening this weekend. This is at the fairgrounds. This is a big deal. I'm part of the Recovery Court Board. So honored to be a part of that and all the things that they do. And you're going to see that great big banner out there. Girls, y'all did good. That was an awesome banner. And it's going to happen noon to 3 tomorrow at the fairgrounds. So we just want to invite you out. If you know somebody, if you need to know more about recovery, you got somebody in your family, and you just know they need recovery. Well, that's what it's about, guys. It's about trying to help people and put them in touch with the resources that we have. And we've got a lot of resources that people aren't aware of. And so that's what it's all about. So I'm going to have a lot of friends there. And just if you know somebody, if you are somebody that's like, man, I need some help, that's a good place to come and get it and just be at peace with it. And Judge Joel Perry's going to be in the Duncan booth. So if you're somebody's like, oh, I'm in there, I'm going to come, I'm hitting that up. But Judge Perry, again, he's going to be in the Duncan booth. I wanted to say about 1, I think, but just come out. It's going to be 3 hours of fun. Again, it's going to be noon to 3 at the fairgrounds, and we are super excited. We're going to have some great bands there. I know my friends that play up at Epiphany, We Imperfect Few, they're going to be playing. Super proud of those guys, and they've got a new single coming out. They're going to talk
Steve
about
Hemphill.
So excited for them. So just come out and be a part of our Recovery Fest tomorrow at the fairgrounds. I'll be there. I'm excited to be there, and it's going to be noon to 3, and I hope you'll join us. Steve Hemphill. Oh, my gosh.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so glad to have you on. Lee Marie is like, we haven't talked to Steve in a while. I'm like, no, we haven't, and we need to. And bless you,
always
I
a
love
pleasure.
you. How are you doing?
Great. Busy as a one-armed paper hanger.
I hear you. And and this is, we've only got you for a half hour. Brother T. Rawls is coming in, and it's because you were only available for a half hour today. And we just need to say right now, if you've got another day that you can come on and maybe give me and come on with me for an hour, I'd just love to talk to you, because we're approaching a season that I think is big for somebody in your line of work. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, there is a lot of issues hovered around just the holidays. Our country celebrates the Halloween thing, and I'm learning from former Satanists how important that date is to them, and then the symbols in our society. And I'm going to read you a verse this morning that will blow you away. I didn't know a symbol could trap a soul. Did you?
No, I did not.
This is Ezekiel 13. I'm reading the NLT. I'm going to read you 18, and I'll jump to 20.
Okay.
It says, this is what the sovereign Lord says. What sorrow awaits you women who are ensnaring the souls of my people, young and old. Okay, so something that these women are doing are trapping people's souls. It also repeats that in verse 20. And then it tells us what it is. You tie magic charms on your wrists and have magic veils. Do you think you can trap others without bringing destruction on yourselves? You bring shame on me among my people for a few handfuls of barley or a piece of bread. By lying to my people who love to listen to lies, you kill those who should not die. You promise life to those who should not live. This is what the Lord says. I'm against your magic charms, which you use to ensnare my people like birds. I will tear them from your arms, setting my people free like birds set free from a cage. I will tear off the magic veils and save my people from your grasp. They will no longer be your victims. Then you will know I'm the Lord. I'm learning that symbols can trap souls, and we need to clean up our houses. And many symbols that are tied to witchcraft and witches, even in jest, are trapping the souls of God's people, and it's a travesty.
You know, and it's something that I'm in the school system now, and teaching the kids, and because I'm in audio and video, and we'll talk about the things that they like to watch, that they like to produce, and we want to produce a haunted, whatever, and all of these things. And I told them, I said, I said it's too dark. I said I don't open the door to darkness like that. And then we're also facing here I love the people of Adams. I love them, love them. But this Bell Witch stuff, man, it breaks my heart that that's what we're known for. They say you can go into other countries and you mention Adams and they're like Bell Witch, you know, and we're famous
Yeah.
for it. And it's used,
I've read the book.
yeah,
I've read the book, and I'm learning that a lot of so-called ghost stories are actually demons that are pretending to be a person who used to live there.
right.
You see, it's a strategy. If you think that person has a right to live there because they used to be human and now they're a ghost who live there and they can't, you don't think about casting them out in Jesus' name. But if you realize they're demonic, then you bind them and gag them and cast them out in Jesus' name. It's a way to get to stay. They love territory. There's even a verse in Jude that said that some angels left the territorial places they belonged, and now they're in chains in dark pits in prison awaiting judgment.
That's incredible. And I mean, and people just don't take it seriously. And that's the thing. And it's like, you know, I've talked to several people from Adams and, you know, we've had Mr. Henson, he comes on, he's kind of the historian there. And he talked to me about how the whole thing got started. And he was saying, you know, there was a time whenever they would, I mean, this is back during our darkest days when when the slavery was going on. And people
Yes.
to control the slave. And honestly, there's old tales that my granddaddy, my papa used to tell me, and it was the same kind of thing. It was tales that were told to keep the slaves from wandering out because they came from these tribal areas and they were very spiritual and very afraid of anything demonic. And you could tell them these ghost stories. And so you wouldn't have it would keep them from wandering off and trying to leave in the cover of darkness. And that's why they did a lot of that stuff. And Mr. Henson talks about that. That's how they had something weird going on in the family and, you know, with the Bell Witch and everything. And so they just kind of built on that. You know, some little thing happens and they're like, oh, well, it's this, this, and this. Next thing you know, you've got a demonic presence there that, some things are happening. And
yes,
it's creepy.
I've even,
creepy.
I got called to a house with, you know, they said they had ghosts. It was a haunted house. And they were a Christian family, and they were scared to death. They were having terrible things happen in the night, every night. And they wouldn't want to tell anyone because they wanted to sell the house. They was afraid nobody would buy the house if everybody thought it was haunted. And so you kind of catch-22 kind of thing. And so doors were slamming in the night. The microwave would turn itself on and off. Windows would rattle. And so they got so scared, their college-aged daughter pulled a mattress into the bedroom where the parents lived and slept at the foot of her parents' bed. She's in college.
That's crazy.
That's how scared she was.
Yeah.
And by the time they heard about my ministry where we stake the house and we pray and we put God's word on the stakes that go in the ground around the house, you know, you're kind of claiming the land for the Lord like a deed change, giving it over to him. They heard about that. They invited me to come. So I said, I'll come. I'm going to help them. So I came on a Tuesday. Well, we talked on the weekend before, and on Monday they got a call. They're in Arkansas. They got a call from Nebraska from a medium they don't even know. And this medium said, hey, I know the ghost who lives in your house. It's a girl named Allie. She was murdered and raped in that house, and she still stays there. And she loves your daughter. She loves her makeup and jewelry. Just talk to Allie like she's there. She loves that. And the wife said, we're not comfortable with that. And we got a guy coming tomorrow we're gonna stake this house with Bible verses on 10 stakes. And the medium in Nebraska, who they don't even know, said, no, don't stake the house. You'll upset the ghost. You don't want to upset the ghost. If a medium tells you not to do something, I think that's exactly what you should do, don't you?
Oh yeah.
When I got there, I figured out that there were Civil War slaves that had been murdered in an old barn in the back of that property. And that was the spiritual issue that was still causing demonic connections to the property. We staked that old barn. The foundation of it was all that was left, where the slaves were murdered. We staked it and prayed and asked for forgiveness. We staked the property, which was 10 acres, and we staked the house. And all the problems went away, and they had no more nighttime visitations. But there were so many bad memories of that house, they sold it and moved away. They tried to sell it for 10 years before we staked it. They sold it right after we staked it. It cleaned the property.
That's incredible. That's the thing. I tell people about your ministry all the time. And I just, if you don't believe in spiritual warfare, you need to talk to Steve Hemphill, because the things that you're doing and these coincidental calls you're getting, there's no way. I mean, that's the
Right.
thing. When you see how some of the things, stories you've told me, just blow my mind. And
Well, and
it's just incredible.
the enemy understands
Yeah.
the importance of symbols. Did you know in East Texas that we have witches groups that have Facebook pages, and they say, meet us in Tyler, Texas. We're going to put crystals around the courthouse. Witches in East Texas are organizing, having pagan festivals, and burying crystals, the symbol of their god, crystals, around courthouses. And we Christians don't understand those are important. The enemy understands the importance of symbols.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. Around here, there's kind of a little trend going on right now, Steve. I think you'll get a kick out of this. There's these. It started out. There's a little toy you can put in Easter eggs, and it's a little Jesus figurine.
Yeah.
And there was a preacher here locally. My physical therapist gave me one. She goes, "Here, I got something for you." And she hands me, it's a little Jesus. She goes, "Everybody needs a little Jesus, and then you might want a whole lot." And so we started doing this at Celebrate Recovery, because it's like, hey, we're a faith-based recovery ministry, and if you're having a hard time with recovery, try a little Jesus. And so we give them a little Jesus, and and I mean, it's silly, but it's cute, and it opens a door to say, we're here, and we're going to get bold about what we're saying. We've got to get bold as Christians. We've got to start sharing the word. We have got to start sharing Jesus with people. And I just and it's hard for me. I mean, it's hard, But
I've even had missionaries get deceived about this. We had a missionary family that had been 35 years in Africa in the mission field. They retired. They're in their late 60s. They retired. They came back to Texas. They came home, and they brought all these souvenirs with them from Africa.
Yeah.
And they started getting sick, and they were both sick all the time. And they heard my stories about symbols and found these verses that I'm pointing out to you today. And they burned a whole bunch of their souvenirs, masks and things people have been given to them, and then they got well. That was it. That's why getting rid of idols are so important, because demons attach to idols. There's even verses that says there's demons accepting the child sacrifices when you make your son pass through the fire. They were throwing their babies in the fire, sacrificing. That's human sacrifice. And the witchcraft arena, they have breeders that breed children just to get their blood and use the blood in satanic rituals. I even have a friend from Fort Worth, Texas. One of the high schools, this was in the early 70s, one of the high schools, one weekend, a couple of kids, a couple of seniors went out for a date and didn't come back home that night. And the next morning, the girl was found murdered, but they couldn't find the boy. And it went till Monday. The FBI got involved. It went till Monday, and he was found, and all his blood was drained. It turned out it was a witch's coven, that was using the blood of young men in satanic rituals. And this was in the 70s. The FBI was involved. Yeah. It's all over the world today.
Well, and that's the thing, and we think it's all in these these third world countries, and it's just not. And I mean, we've, like I said, we have far too long kept our mouths shut, not been bold, because we don't want to be thought of as a Jesus freak. Well, I do.
That's right.
Come on, I do. Call me. I don't care. And we've, as Christians, we have got to find our voice, because we're the only hope. And if we don't,
well, and just think about this. When I was a kid, we had Cinderella and the Magic Apple, so there was kind of some witchcraft, like no big deal. But back in those days, the witchcraft was portrayed as evil in all the cartoons.
Yes.
Now it's like Harry Potter is portrayed as good. It's white witches. Even Tom Brady's wife came out and said she was a white witch. She was a good witch. And he had to do a chant before every game. She made a little altar and told him what to chant. And then she'd tell him if he's going to win or lose. He said she was always right. He did an interview extensively about this. And so people asked me about Harry Potter. I said, well, it's just a story, no big deal. And then I met a former Satanist who was a Satanist for 22 years before he became a Christian. He told me how excited they got at Halloween and how many spells and curses they sent out at Halloween. And then he told me something that really shocked me. He said the curses they used in Harry Potter, word for word, what we used in the Satanic Church. And it made me look, even at Harry Potter, differently. We need to be careful what we let our kids see and be a part of, and the symbols we're letting into our homes.
Yeah. Steve Hemphill is with me, guys. And if you're not, tell them how to get in touch with you, because this is something we're approaching the Halloween, and I don't like it. It's something that I stopped really observing Halloween in any. I mean, I let I go with my grandkids to trick or treat, but I'm thankful that they do like Mario Brothers costumes and all that. They don't do dark stuff,
Right.
and so we have fun with it. And I just don't want any darkness. I tell you, when I was cleaning out my barns, anything that I found with a witch hat, anything like that, I burned. I got rid of, because I had
Well,
stuff like that.
We also have symbols of death. We have skeletons and stuff.
Yeah,
so we
see,
need to be
I
careful. Enjoy the fun part, but try to limit that and realize you need to be aware of what's going on here. But they can get a hold of me. I've got a podcast called Battle Plan.
Yeah.
Battle Plan with Steve Hemphill is on all the podcast networks. It's on Audible. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's on Google Play and Amazon and all those places. And then we have a website at active-faith.org. Active-faith.org.
Can we contribute through there? Because I know I've got to get, because y'all changed that first year, and I still haven't changed mine. And so if anybody's contributed, Steve, you need to kind of get on the right platform to do that. And I got to fix that. But can we
got a donation button there.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. We do. We appreciate you bringing that up. Also, we've got a brand new thing. We've got several courses we're offering now.
Okay.
Some of them are free, and some of them have a small fee, but it's a way to keep our ministry going. We have one on spiritual weapons. It's going to be I'm up to 77 spiritual weapons from Scripture. Mm-hmm. Volume 1 of that series is already available at Weapons 1 through 10. And it's kind of a self-paced course with a downloadable PDF that goes with it.
Okay, very good. And it's so funny. I'm so deep in study right now. I'm such a Bible nerd, and I'm in a different direction from what you're doing. But I love what you're doing. And anytime I need spiritual warfare stuff, I know to go to your stuff. And look. And I mean, because it's so good, and you do such a thorough job. But there was something else I was going to mention, and it just slipped my mind. But I can't say enough about taking the spiritual warfare, guys, that we're up against seriously. And when we approach this season of the year, please don't open your door to that darkness. Don't bring it in. I know everybody's like, oh, but it's just fun. It's not. It's just not. And it's kind of like I tell you, there's things that poison our soul, and that's one of them. And I talk a lot about. I dealt with bitterness for a lot of times. That's a poison to your soul. But
yes, it is.
But darkness is just that. Don't open the door to it, guys. Just keep shining light into it, and go trick or treating with your kids. Let them dress up like, princesses and things like that. But when we cleaned out our barns, I had different things with witches' hat and stuff. I just threw them away. When I find stuff like that, that I know is a problem, I toss it. And because I don't want anybody else using it. I don't want to give it away and have it go in somebody else's house.
Right.
I just throw it in the fire. And that's something I've learned from you, brother, and I appreciate it.
The enemy is getting bolder than they used to be. When I go on a trip, like on an airplane, I always pray that God will set me by somebody that I can help, or that they can help me. I can learn something or help somebody. Yeah. And one day I was going to Ohio to speak, and I sat down, and the lady next to me said, "Sir, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, actually, I teach on spiritual warfare. I'm a Christian author and speaker." And the lady goes, "Really?" She said, "My dad is a pastor. And about 6 months ago, he got on an airplane to go on a trip. And when he sat down, the guy next to him, it was very obvious the guy was praying. He was leaned over in his seat. His hands were folded together. His eyes were closed. His lips were moving silently, And he thought, well, that's pretty neat. So the guy finished his prayer and sat up. And they're kind of buckling up and getting ready to go. And he turns to this guy, and he says, "Well, sir, it looks like you're a praying man. You believe in prayer. That's great. Can I ask, what are you praying for?" And the guy looked at him and said, "Yeah, sir, I'm praying to my God, Satan, that Christianity can be wiped out in America by destroying the marriages of all the pastors and preachers. That's what I'm praying for."
Wow. Did he tell him, well, by the way, I'm a pastor, and
he didn't.
Get
He
behind
didn't.
me,
It was
Satan,
too much of a
in
shock.
the mighty name of Jesus Christ. That's one thing. Man, when you're praying against this stuff, guys, you better do it in the name of Jesus because you can't handle it. If you can't read when the apostles couldn't handle stuff, you got to do it in the name of Jesus. You got to do it right.
That's right.
Gag it, bind it, and cast it out in the mighty name of Jesus. Right, brother?
Amen.
Those are your
Amen.
words.
I'm also learning that certain pieces of property kind of have a history of, in your case, the Bell Witch thing,
Yeah.
they have a history of sighting. Others have a history of divorce. Some have a history of suicide. We had one house near my home that a kid committed suicide, and the family that moved in next, the son tried to commit suicide, and the one that moved in next moved away quickly. And I asked them why they were leaving. They said, our kids have nightmares. We can't, they won't stop. We got to get out of this house.
Wow.
So we need to clean the property. We need to pray over it, anoint it with oil, stake it, pray, ask God to open the front door and invite Jesus into your home.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Give him a tour. Say, Jesus, you're welcome here anytime. Here's the bedroom. You can sleep here if you like. Here's the couch and living room. There's the TV. Watch anything you want. Here's the refrigerator, Jesus. Eat anything you like. You're always welcome here. Just symbolically do that. Walk through the house and invite Jesus into every part of your house. Because you know what? If Jesus is there, the enemy doesn't want to be there.
You better believe it. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, that's one thing is my kids have moved into new homes and stuff, and I encourage them. I said, you know, I give them your videos and things like that. And I think a lot of people just, they're like, oh, well, I'll do it later. Man, don't wait on it. If you move into a new piece of property, and here's the thing, I've staked my property off a couple of times. It needs to probably be done again because there's things that creep in. And, you know, just
well,
like
when we staked Longview, Texas, crime dropped 45%, but we didn't stop there.
Mm-hmm.
We stake it every year. Every year we pray for a new issue and we write the new issue on the stakes. Mm-hmm. And one year we wrote no witchcraft, and the local witches got upset. We were hurting their freedom of religion, and they tried to stop our event. They put on Facebook, meet at this church where they're going to stake the city and stop this. They tried to stop us. We had the biggest crowd we've ever had, and only about 4 witches showed up.
That's incredible.
And it was an amazing event, but the enemy does not want us to stake the property because they know it works.
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's so funny as you're talking about all that stuff. I'm kind of remembering all the Olympic stuff. Have you dug into all the stuff that they did? At the first,
oh my goodness,
that was breathtaking, and it's like, well, no, we were depicting the Roman gods and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, and that's all pagan, whatever, but you know,
the Roman gods are demonic.
Yeah,
those are
so pagan.
Demon gods.
That
doesn't help. Telling me that doesn't help.
The history of the Olympics is so pagan, and it's just like, it's just, you know, and if people don't know their history, they don't study it. They don't know that, you know, when that the Olympics were stopped whenever Rome became became a Christian nation. They stopped it because it was pagan. And then they brought it back kind of at the rise, wasn't it right before the rise of Hitler? It was like in the late 1800s, and I can't remember exactly when. So I guess I need to know my history better. But there
in fact, they had a big ceremony at the end depicting the rising, coming back of the Olympics, and it was like you said, the paganism has risen again. Mm-hmm. The Return of the Gods by Jonathan Cahn. Have you read that book, Return of the Gods?
No, but I've watched. I got this stuff about the Olympics from him. He's got a video out that unpacks it all. That is so good that everybody needs to watch.
He's really good.
I didn't put anything when all that was going on. We were coming in from Mexico because we had just come in from our mission trip, and so I was like, that's disturbing. But until I understand it better, I'm keeping my mouth shut. I'm not going to just start spousing stuff. And so I was watching his video, and I was like, wow, and it's powerful. So you really need to go and I need to read that book. I'll get that one. But he's
Return
amazing.
of the Gods.
He's amazing.
Is really good.
And,
he is amazing. He's done his research.
He really has. But
let me give you one. I know we're winding down near the end here. Let me give you one last story to kind of help you and your listeners understand the importance of symbols. I got a text one day from Connecticut. Now I've never been to Connecticut. I don't know anybody there, and I don't know how this person got my number. But they had read my book, What Are the Stakes? And this text had a picture in it. The picture was a small brown vase with a weird white symbol on the front of it. Mm-hmm. And the text that came with it, this lady said, "You don't know me, but I read your book on on spiritual warfare and symbols and the stakes. And ever since I've read your book, I've been worried that I needed to destroy this vase because maybe this symbol is evil. This vase came from Honduras. Mm-hmm. Is this symbol evil, and do I need to destroy the vase? And I looked at the picture, and I texted her right back, and I said, ma'am, I have no idea. But God knows. Ask him. Ask God to show you if it's evil. Tell him to reveal to you if you need to destroy it or not to honor him. Pray about it, in other words. Mm-hmm. And she texted right back and said, duh, we should have thought to do that. About 2 hours later, I heard from them again, and they said, you were right. We prayed, Lord, show us if this is evil, and if we need to destroy it, please tell us we're happy to destroy it to honor you. And within 30 minutes of praying that prayer, we got a phone call from some friends of ours from church. And they said, hey, we've got some friends from out of town that we want to eat supper with and invite you to eat with us. Meet us there. Would you come meet us for supper? And they said, well, sure. Guess where they were from? Honduras.
Honduras, yeah.
And so they said, oh, you're from Honduras. And she had this fresh picture on her phone of this vase from Honduras with this weird symbol. So they showed her the picture. They said, hey, this vase came from Honduras. And the family from Honduras looked at the picture and looked at them and looked at the picture again and looked at them. And they said, we don't know you, and we hate to tell you this, but that symbol represents a local demon god in Honduras. You need to destroy that vase.
Wow.
Within 45 minutes of them praying about it, God had revealed to them that was a symbol that represented a demon, and they needed to destroy it, and they did. I mean, I can't make this stuff up.
Okay, I've got one for you. We got to check on. My dad he's a collector of things, right? And because I have a half African American nephew, and so he wanted to get him some things from Africa. And so there's one thing, it's a xylophone, and it's really kind of cool, and it's with gourds and all that, but there's these kind of goat-like looking statues that he had. And I had never thought about this, Steve. And Joshua doesn't want them. We were cleaning out the house. You know, I told you we're cleaning out my parents' house, and so I have these things my dad collected. And so I've got these two kind of, and I took them to church because I thought, well, it's kind of missional. It's kind of, but I'm going to see, I won't be at church until Sunday. I'm going to send you a pic of it, and we're going to look that up, and maybe we need to destroy those. Because
well, I can show you a verse. There's a verse in Revelation that talks about the demon goat gods they were worshiping.
I've studied. As soon as you said that, I got to thinking about Pan and all that, and I was like, I hadn't even thought about that. And now you've got me wondering, because I've been wondering what to do with these things, and I've got a few things like that, and I kind of keep it in the idea, because I do the mission work in Mexico, and my job when I was working at church was working with missions, and I'm on the mission. I'm going to be on the missions committee and stuff, and I think, well, that's something we can show. No, maybe not. So we need to examine that. Ooh, you've given me something to think about, Steve. That's interesting.
Hey, well, thanks a lot for having me on the show.
Always.
I need to go, and I know you have another guest coming in, but thank you for having me.
Brother Rawls is here. Brother, love you. And guys, tell him real quick how to get in touch with you and donate to his ministry. It's all privately funded.
Thank you. It's active-faith.org, and you can listen to all the Battle Plan podcasts for free. Battle Plan with Steve Hemphill. Thanks for having me.
Love you. Thank you, brother. See you later. God bless
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. That is Steve Hemphill again, a good friend of mine, and just somebody that I have really enjoyed getting to know, and kind of lost touch with him. So thank you, Lee Marie, for kind of reconnecting me, because I had really lost touch with him. Brother T. Rawls is in the house. I'm going to have to do some commercials, but have you ever met Steve? Come on into that. You know how that microphone works.
Hey.
You got to get on that thing.
How you doing?
Come on. Thank you for filling in for me somewhat.
Well, thank you. Good morning. Glad to do it.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't had a chance to thank you in person, and I don't think we've really visited very much.
We haven't. We haven't had a chance to visit at all.
So I'm so glad Lee Marie put this together.
I am too. I'm glad to be on. She's awesome. She's awesome.
Y'all hear us say that all the time, but if you've got something you want done and you can get Lee Marie on board, it's gonna get done.
That's
That's just all there is to it.
Absolutely.
But let's pause for a second. Let me talk about my friends Barry and Rebecca Richards, Exit Prime Realty. Barry was in here yesterday. Love Barry and Rebecca so much, and it was so funny because I was talking about they're having the safety day in Cross Plains, and they're Cross Plainians, and I said, well, they're always at anything that has to do with the city. If they're doing some kind of an event, especially if it's in Cross Plains, they're gonna have a booth there. So bottom line is, this is an opportunity for you to go out to Kilgore Park, and I'm wanting to say it's like 10 to 4, something like that. But it's the safety day, and they're going to have helicopters and fire trucks. It's going to be a cool time. But Barry and Rebecca will be there. They'll have their tent. And if you've got questions and you're thinking, well, I just really want to talk to somebody face to face, you can sit down with them. You can sit down with them in their tent and just talk to them about, maybe you got questions. You're thinking about selling, but is this a good time? I'm really maybe wanting to add to my property. I'm getting older. Should I downsize? Rebecca's one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She can specifically help you with that. Barry's a marketer. I'm going to say that every time I do the ad, because I want you to understand how important that is. When you're selling property, he was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years. He knows how to do it. He can do drone footage, walkthrough tours, videography, photography, and it's going to pop. So when people are flipping through the listings, yours is going to pop and they're not going to miss it. He can make sure that happens. Now, they've got a brokerage office here in downtown. They've got her office, a agency office up in White House. They combine those two to bring you a new branch in the Exit Tree. They are Exit Prime Realty. They're still with the Garden Gate team. They still work with them. They still use offices when they're in those areas. But they just brought a new branch in the Exit Tree. They're still part of the Exit team. And cannot say enough about how that if you really want some help in real estate, they're awesome. They're local. They specialize in Robertson County properties. They've been in Cross Plains for nearly 30 years, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky, because they've worked in Nashville off and on. And they're from Kentucky like me. So they know the ins and outs of all of it. Give them a call. Here's Rebecca's number, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, or go to buy.robertsoncounty.com, sellwithbecky.com. That's how you can get in touch with them. And when you do, let them know their ad dollars are working. Let them know that U-Turn sent you. Brother T. Rawls is in the house. Then because people who know me know I do not like missing work that I have signed up for. I don't like, I was kind of notorious for it in radio, because people would be like, LaVern, just stay home. Because my coworkers, because they wanted to take time off, and I made them, it's just the way I was raised. I'm a farm girl.
Right.
You just work. And so I like to work. And so, but I do like taking time off. And as I'm getting older, I may be a little more regular with my taking time off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I may take some time off, fall break coming up. So I'll let y'all know.
All right.
I will take some time off at Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
But I love this teaching. I've honestly, and when we're teaching, it's exhausting. It is. I was working on stuff literally at 10:30 last night.
Oh, wow.
For school.
I bet. Yeah.
I mean, it's just constant. I can't ever get everything done, it seems like. And so, I mean, we just work all the time when school is in. So we really do enjoy our breaks, but it is kind of nice to have this structured break. I've never had that kind of structured time off in my life, because I've been in broadcasting for the bulk of my career. And you can't take time off in broadcasting because the people forget you. Somebody else will slide into your seat.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. And the radio part, I'm comfortable with. When it comes to the YouTube and the Facebook and the cameras and the this and that, I'm not accustomed to doing that as much, so I'm not as comfortable with that part of it yet. But I've been listening to you for a long time.
Thank y'all.
Were you on Y107 with Coyote McLeod?
I was never on with Coyote.
Were you on with?
I was on with the
other one.
Oh my God.
Were you on with Carl P.
Woody and Jim?
Woody and Jim.
I'm sorry, guys. They'll be like, really, LaVern? Really?
I threw you a curveball there.
No, but
were you on with Carl P. Mayfield on 103?
No, but okay. I worked with Proud Mary.
Okay.
And see what happened.
I remember that,
So people kind of get us mixed up, and Proud Mary and I kind of sound alike. So I ran into her cousin came in. We've got a kid at I'm just going to tell this real quick, at Greenbrier, that's going to be the musician of the month, featured on WKRN. Aiden Raymer, we're so proud of you. And so they came in and did a video with him. And so the news girl that was in there, she came in, and we were talking, and I said something. She said something. She was saying something about Mary Glenn, and I was like, "Proud Mary, yeah." And then I told her we worked together, and we were like hugging. The kids were like, "So y'all know each other?" Yeah. I'm like, "Well, we kind of."
You turned LaVern. I remember that.
But yeah, I worked with 107. I've always been part of the 1510 group.
Okay,
I was
gotcha.
1510. Yeah. That's where I started. And so, which is talk shows. And then I begged my way on the air Christmas of 1984, I think is when it was, to DJ on the 106 side at the time. It's before we went 105.9.
105.9, the rock
105.9,
station.
but it was 106 back then, and we were a Class FM, and we adult contemporary. And originally it was a rock station, and then of course it went back to rock. It is the rock now, 105.9 the rock, and so I was on 1510 and the FM side always. But then whenever Clear Channel they bought the River 107. Then I started working with Woody and Jim. And then I worked briefly with Jerry for about a year while they were trying to find a traffic reporter. And that's when Carla Lawson came in and did traffic for them for about 10 years, I think. And I was on 101 when it was the Christian station. Then when they flipped it to the beat, I just like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I'm out.
Please,
I'm out.
yeah. Well, and they didn't necessarily, you don't always get a choice, but they allowed me to slide off.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that's when I picked up 107, actually. Because I was on, I think that's when they moved me over to 107, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, yeah, I've been around a minute.
I remember a guy, tell me if my memory's right. I remember a guy in Nashville that did traffic under the handle Buck Naked in traffic.
For a minute.
You remember that?
Yeah, for a minute. Yeah, for a minute. Well, because there was a trend.
What a handle he had.
Yeah, there was a trend that you had to nickname. Well, that's how I got
You had to have a nickname. U-turn. Yeah.
Because Traffic Jim was at KDF. And Jim Fuquay, a wonderful man, he's passed away. He was a survivor of polio and was in the military. Just a beautiful man. I just loved him so much. And but he was Traffic Jim, and so he kind of set the trend. You got to have a nickname for your traffic reporter. And so I was going to fill in for traffic one day because they were like, "Well, she can do this." I kept telling them I could.
Yeah.
And so I DJ'd, and they're like, "Could you do traffic?" I'm like, "Sure." I had no clue.
Why not?
I was going to figure it out. I listened to Richard Thomas a couple of times.
I was going to say Richard Thomas.
Yeah. I was like, I can do
Air
that.
650. Yeah.
So I just started calling dispatch. I was like, hey, I'm doing traffic, and I would just call them, and they're like, okay, and they would talk to me. I'd take them T-shirts and pizza and all that kind of stuff. Got a great relationship, and that's before everything was cameras and all that. So but back originally, you just be nice to people, and they'll help you out. And they did, and I filled in traffic one week, and Stephen Wesley, Bridgewater, and Ogden. That was back
I remember him. Yeah. Oh,
guys?
yeah.
And they said, well, LaVern's doing traffic. We need to come up with a nickname. And a listener called in and said, call her U-turn LaVern. And we trademarked it and all that. And
how about that?
28 years.
Well, I depended on that because, like you said, that's back before there was the cameras and the GPS and your phone and all that. And I knew who was on which station at what time. Okay, he comes on at 10 after, she comes on at 20 after. And I would just listen to make sure I could navigate where I was going to. Because if you didn't, you get stuck. You get stuck real quick.
Oh, and I would get upset when I messed up. I mean, I took it very seriously, guys. I just worked as hard, and that was one of the reasons when they laid me off. I was ready because they had us doing too many stations. We couldn't thoroughly investigate it. It was all about getting the sponsors in. And I was like, man, I was so tired of it. And when they laid me off, I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't care. I would have liked for them to maybe been a little bit nicer than laying me off on a phone call in the middle of my shift, because that's just that's the heartless part of radio.
That's how it goes.
But, but so what's going on in your world? Let's talk about you, brother.
Well, I was born in Springfield, grew up in Greenbrier, went to Greenbrier High School, graduated in 76. I know, and I love that class you're doing. I've heard good things about that. When I turned 18, I ran off to the big city.
Okay.
I moved to Nashville, got an apartment. That lasted about a year and a half. Then I moved back home.
Sure.
For a couple more years. Went to Ball State. Went to MTSU as a mass comm major.
Okay.
For one semester and flunked out and came back home. I just went down.
Sounds like you took college as seriously as I did.
Wasted money and time.
I finally graduated, but I was not a good college student. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. So I became a Christian as a teenager. When I hit my 20s, I just kind of went the Wild Oats route. And in about 1993, the Lord, he found me. I found him. Came back to the Lord. And so I've been trying to serve the Lord since 1993. Awesome. I was ordained in 1998. I've been bivocational pastor for several years, different places. I was in banking for about 12 years.
Okay.
I was in the finance side of the car business for about 20 years.
My sister did that.
Yeah, okay.
She did.
All right.
She was math genius. I mean, that's what she did till the day she got sick.
I loved working with numbers.
She died of cancer. And, she did too. And she loved helping people. and trying to help them get a vehicle. I mean, she did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
that was my background.
She really enjoyed it. But keep going. I'm sorry. I mean, as soon as you
No,
said
that's
that,
all
it
right.
made me think of my sis.
Yeah, I was on staff at Bethlehem Baptist Church here in Springfield for about 12, 13 years as the worship pastor / associate pastor.
Okay.
Left there, started a little home study group, which became a church.
Wow. Okay.
Studied I pastored at Solid Rock in Greenbrier for 3 years. And then 6.5, 7 years ago, we started Organic Community Church
Okay.
in Greenbrier.
Okay.
Okay, you know where the middle school ball field is, right there at the end of the road where you come from the high school in
Yes,
Greenbrier?
yes.
Okay, right across the street, that old strip mall there, we got a space right there, but between the Wishy-Washy and the Dog Groomer is Organic Community Church. That's
seen
where we meet.
Well, I saw
where we
you
meet.
standing out in front of it the other day.
You did?
It's
Okay.
I'm just now realizing, that was you.
That was me.
Because I saw y'all pulling your flag in.
Yeah,
at
that
the
was
end of
me.
Church.
Yeah, that was me.
And I was like, well, I've always wondered, I didn't realize that was you. Well,
Yeah, that's
there
me.
you go. That's cool.
Brother T, yeah, and
Okay.
and I'll tell you a quick one. In 1994, I guess it was, I was the youth minister at Crossroads Baptist Church
Okay.
for a little while, and Dave Evans was in my youth group.
I love Dr. David Evans.
Dr. David Evans, and so my father's name was Tom, so T became my nickname
Okay.
years and years and years ago. So when Dave heard people at the church calling me T, one day he said, "Brother T." You know,
I love it.
I love David.
Yeah.
So it kind of just stuck.
that's
So
what
everybody.
oh my
So
gosh.
he had something to do with it. He's partly responsible for
He
it.
calls me Sister U-Turn.
Sister U-turn.
Sister U-Turn. And I love it. I did a podcast, and it's linked on my on my Facebook page. But my friend Joe Elvis, that was on the Rock, we were on the Rock together.
Yep.
And Joe and John Dyer, that was on television for years, they have a podcast called Another Cup of Joe, or a second cup. What is it called? Joe's going to kill me. A Second Cup of Joe is what it's called. Yeah, Second Cup of Joe and John. And but they interview people that have been around Nashville and stuff. And I actually mentioned David Evans calling me Sister U-Turn.
Sister
Well, 'cause
U-turn.
Joe's
yeah.
always apologized. He goes, "I call you nothing but U-Turn." I was like, "Honey, I ran for Congress under U-Turn, LaVern, so you're good. Call me U-Turn."
But I
It's
love
been good to me.
I love
Yeah.
Dave and his family, and I
they're
remember they
awesome.
started Epiphany and all that. So I've been around here a long time, and
Yeah, that's cool.
about a little over a year ago, Lee Marie came to one of my gospel concerts. I promote gospel
Yes,
concerts. She and Steve came to a concert.
Yes.
After the concert, she came up and talked to me, and she said, "You're the man God's been telling me that I was going to meet to help with the music at WSGI."
Oh, okay.
So we sat down and met with Eliu, and we came up with a playlist started Saturday only,
Okay.
playing, a blend of country gospel, bluegrass gospel, and southern gospel.
Okay.
And then as time went on, then January 1 of this year, Eliu said, "We're going to go with that playlist all the
Eliu.
time."
Eliu.
Eliu.
Maldonado.
Eliu, yeah.
Eliu.
Yeah. So we went with that playlist January 1, as you know. And so I keep up the playlist. That's what I do here. I'm in charge of the
I
playlist.
didn't know that. See, and I'll have to tell you, when y'all flipped it from contemporary Christian, I was like, because that's my jam.
I know.
Love me some Brandon Lake. Brandon Lake, you're a superstar. I just love him.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a godly man too. I just love Brandon Lake, man. If you haven't discovered his music, go understand that man. He is so cool.
He's good. I like
But
him.
I love him, and so many others. Stephen Curtis Chapman. We're from the same place, and so I'm just huge fan of Stephen Curtis Chapman. So I'm big, love my contemporary Christian. But I'll just tell you, flipping us to the Southern gospel was the right decision, because there's and even though that's not my favorite genre, we've got all these contemporary Christian stations in Nashville.
Exactly.
We do not have an outlet for the Southern gospel.
That was my
It was
my point.
absolutely brilliant. And as much as I was like, it was a smart move. I can't deny that. And so I have to just give you hats off and Lee Marie and Eliu for being able to see that you're hitting a niche that's not being fed.
That nobody else is serving. Yeah,
And
nobody else
so-
is serving, because
Yeah.
it's probably not financially viable for a big station that has a lot of expenses
For
to
this
do.
size, it is
But
perfect.
for the people we serve, our community we serve, and we're reaching out. We can pick it up sometimes in Franklin, Tennessee,
Yes.
Lebanon, Clarksville, Southern Kentucky. We've had a good response. But you mentioned the contemporary. I've got on my playlist, I've got some Zach Williams music.
Okay.
I've got Ben Fuller.
Okay.
As Long as I Got Jesus, got him on there.
Okay.
Got some Rhett Walker on there, which is more contemporary. I don't know if I have any Brandon Lake, but I love his music.
I love
but,
Brandon
but
Lake.
There's some of the. Well, I listen to the song.
What about Stephen's music? Stephen Curtis Chapman?
No, I don't have any of him.
Yeah.
No,
but consider him because there might be some something
I
in there.
might listen to some.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so good.
So I listen.
Daddy taught me guitar.
He did, okay.
Yeah, I took guitar lessons from Herb. Well, Chapman Music's back home in West Kentucky, and he's.
You're from the Mayfield area, aren't you?
But they had Herb, Steve's dad has always had his shop in the Lone Oak area in Paducah, but they had one briefly in Mayfield. And so I would take lessons from them up in Mayfield, and if Herb couldn't give me a lesson, I got a couple of lessons from Stephen. And you would think I could play really well because I had such talented teachers, but I just don't have the discipline to sit down.
Yeah.
So I played it for myself. But yeah, so consider Stephen Curtis Chapman.
I'll listen.
So good, so good, so good.
I listen through the WSGI app.
Okay.
Most of the time, and I listen to the music. And if I hear a song, I think, I don't like that one. I'll make a snapshot of it, or I'll remember what it was. I'll come and I'll delete it.
Okay.
I'll put in new ones. I'm continually trying to keep it.
That's awesome.
Keep it flowing.
That's awesome.
Because if I hear something, I'm thinking, would our listeners like that song? Probably not.
Okay.
If I don't like it, I'm not going to put it on there.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Even some
I
of
didn't
the.
realize you were doing this. I'm so glad you came in. This is so insightful.
I'm signed up with all the record companies to get all the new single releases.
Wow.
So we're trying to keep it current.
Cool.
And we're every time I do a concert, I do 7 or 8 big gospel concerts a year here in our area.
Okay.
And since I've been with WSGI, we're plugging WSGI at every concert.
I'm telling you guys.
We've got the window stickers we're giving out. You know.
Yeah.
And I'll usually ask, how many of you are listening to AM 1100? And at first there wasn't hardly any hands. Now there's like a bunch of there's more hands going up.
I'm telling you, it was a good move, guys.
And people,
it was a good move.
people are listening. So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
I didn't know the whole story because
Yeah.
I just knew that the format flipped, and I was like, "What?" You know. But then I couldn't. I mean, I've been in radio long enough to know when a need's not being met, and I was like, "Yeah, they're right."
Yeah.
But I mean, and it's just my favorite.
Oh, I get it.
Story
Yeah, I
stuff,
get it.
You know?
Yeah,
I love Crowder. I mean, I love that.
I do too,
love it.
yeah.
I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I love Crowder too.
Yeah.
My nephews and I have a trio. We sing as the Higher Calling, and we cover one of Crowder's songs.
Which one?
My mind just went
I
blank.
sing with the Epiphany.
My mind just went blank.
Because see, they have the.
We just practiced it last night.
Epiphany Baptist has their band that plays on Sunday morning is We Imperfect Few, and they're doing original music. Listen to some of their stuff too, because they're local. And they
I met one of those
stuff.
guys.
Yeah, because I'll have to get you some of their stuff so you can consider some of their stuff for play. Because I mean, they're right here, and they.
All my hope is in Jesus. That's the one we do. All my hope.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
And but they've got some really good stuff, and but I sing with them for CR night because April, the girl who sings with them, that's her and her husband Rob Dupree. He's the drummer, band leader, and she sings.
I think Rob Dupree's the one I meant.
Probably. Yeah. And so when she can't be there on Tuesday night, so they let me sing. So I actually get to get up
If
there
you've got a concert, if you got a CD or something, I'd be happy to.
I'll get one from them.
Listen
I'll get
to
one
'em.
from them. Now I've told them. I
See
said,
if
guys, you don't need CDs. You need digital. Nobody.
Yeah.
As a radio person, you hand me a CD. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I need digital, y'all. But I read books. I'm totally digital because of convenience. Now I think CDs are beautiful and all that, but I just don't have anywhere to play them anymore.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, I don't use CDs, but I tell you, you got to be digital.
I do.
But for the most, if you're really promoting and they do have digital downloads, of course, but you've got to do the digital for sure. But CDs, of course, there's some people that still want the CDs.
Want a physical CD, yeah.
Yeah.
And albums are coming back. You know, I love my albums. I still got my old stereo and my albums.
Yeah.
Can I plug a couple of things in
Oh,
the
of course,
few minutes?
you got plenty of time. Now, I do
few
have
minutes
to do
we've got
an ad.
left.
Go.
Okay. I have a concert coming up tomorrow. Well,
That's what really Marie.
Tomorrow night.
I was going to mention it.
Tomorrow's Friday, right?
No, today is Friday.
Today's Friday.
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's tonight then.
It's tonight. You
It's
got things to do tonight.
It's tonight. The Guardians Quartet are going to be at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Greenbrier. The Guardians are a fantastic quartet, one of the top quartets in the country. They've got a couple of new singles out that we're playing on the radio. They'll be at Ebenezer Baptist Church tonight, which is located at 6028 Ebenezer Road in Greenbrier, just a block off Highway 41W. The doors will open about 5:30. There'll be a $10 suggested donation at the door, plus a love offering will be received for the Guardians Quartet.
Awesome.
Tonight at 7 o'clock at Ebenezer. And while I'm mentioning Ebenezer, let me go ahead and plug this also. They're going to be the one of the Middle Tennessee training grounds, I guess you'd say, or project leader workshop for Samaritan's Purse Operation Christmas Child, the shoebox ministry, on September the 19th. It's going to be held at Ebenezer Baptist Church from 5:30 p.m. until 8 o'clock p.m. And they'll have all the resources there for the churches that want to pack shoeboxes or any group that wants to pack them. They'll have ideas, have free boxes for those who pre-register. They'll go over what to put in the box, what not to put in the box, and those things go all over the world through Samaritan's Purse.
I love Samaritan's Purse.
So that's September the 19th at Ebenezer as well. And then I've got a couple other concerts coming up that we can
Well,
mention.
and you mentioned Samaritan's
shortly.
Purse, guys. The presence of Samaritan's Purse in Mayfield was breathtaking. Whenever the tornado hit, and it's been so devastated, and they're just good people. They just do amazing work, and
They do.
cannot say enough about it. And so that's a great organization. And now she says that American Top Gospel is that a show that you do on the radio?
Not right now, it's not.
Okay,
But
well, if she goes from American Top Gospel, what does she mean by that?
I have a website, American Top Gospel.
Okay.
It's the name I've been promoting concerts under since about 2008.
Okay.
So we've got listed there all the website, any gospel concert in our area, whether it's mine or not, I listed on there on our concert calendar.
Okay. So
I also have a Facebook page, American Top Gospel Facebook page.
So is it AmericanTopGospel.com?
.com.
Okay, so you got it early.
AmericanTopGospel.com.
You got it early.
I got it early.
You got on it.
You remember American Top 40?
Oh yes.
It's American Top Gospel.
Okay, cool.
And I'm in the process of working on a like a little countdown program
Oh, that's
that we can
wonderful.
run here. But because you've been doing it a long time, and I'm learning, broadcasting is a huge commitment. Because when you say I'm going to do it,
You gotta do it.
You have to do it if you say I'm going to do it every day, you got to show up every day. If you're going to do a program every week, you got to produce a program every week.
Yep.
So I'm getting there.
Well,
to get kind of organized exactly what I want to do, but that'll be coming.
Well, and also too, this is something that Ilyu Maldonado is the president of Ebenezer Broadcasting. Ebenezer Broadcasting was purchased by the Ebenezer, the Hispanic church, Ebenezer, here in Springfield, and they organized Ebenezer Broadcasting and purchased this. And this is a worldwide Christian broadcast company, guys.
Yes.
It's breathtaking what they've done. I'm so proud of them. So proud to be a part of it. So honored to be a part of it, Ilyu. And I tell him that all the time. But he has challenged us. He wants us to start putting out weekly podcasts that we can do. I'm working on it, Ilyu, but that's the very reason I don't want to start it until I know I can commit to it every week. But I'm close, Ilyu. I promise. I'm really close. And I told my husband, we actually had this conversation this morning. I thought I had a title. And then I found the same title of a book that's coming out in January. And I'm like, I don't want to have a back and forth with somebody over a name. You don't want to open up conflict. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. And he goes, well, you got to start getting out there. And I said, I will know. God will let me know when it's ready. God will let you know when it's time.
Yeah.
Because taking on this
in his
show,
timing.
It's his timing.
In his timing.
You don't try to force it.
No, I've learned that. Don't push it.
They came to me and wanted me to do a show here several times, and I knew it wasn't the right time. And then when they came and mentioned it to me back right after I'd ran for Congress, they said, hey, the show's opening up 7 to 8 a.m. And I was like, that's the 1 hour I'm free. And so, and I knew though, when taking it on, I'm like, man, I'm making a big commitment. And, because I have to be here every morning, but I love it. I love it so much. I love radio so much. But having you guys, you and Lee Marie being able to fill in for me now that I'm getting a little older, it's nice. It's very nice, and I do appreciate it. But,
and Deborah Grant's doing a good job
also. Yeah. Deborah's been in here too. I forgot to
job.
mention Deborah. Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned Deborah. But
I got to plug in Deborah there.
There you go. Thank you so much.
I love Lee Marie and LU and the station here, and I'm thankful that the Lord has given us this platform.
Yeah.
And I pray regularly, Father, multiply that signal. I know it's only supposed to go out so far, but Lord, multiply it and let it go. Of course, we have listeners. We have listeners from Europe. We have listeners from all over the world that are coming to the website, downloading the app.
I listen to it when I'm down in Mexico on our mission trip. I mean, I can pull it up if I want to do something.
There you go.
And it works perfectly.
Yeah.
It's just
It's amazing.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Let me do my ad, and then we'll come back
Okay.
and I'll let you wrap it up. I'll give
All right.
you all the minutes, and as soon as
Okay.
but we need to talk about Veterans Motorplex.
Oh, yeah.
Love Jerry and all the things he's done over at Highland Rim Speedway. This is an iconic speedway. It is now he's kind of bannering it, Veterans Motorplex at the Rim. So we can bring back in that old Highland Rim name too. So you follow them at Highland Rim Speedway. That's how you find them on social media, and you need to follow them because if we have rain, he's going to tell you about the rain delay there. They are just so excited to invite you out. They've done so much work. It's absolutely beautiful. They did a show last night too on Facebook if you want to see anything about it and what's going on there. But they have so much fun out there, and they just want you to come be a part of it. And they got a great ticket price. You can bring in your whole family for $40. Up to 6 kids and 2 adults for a $40 ticket price. $15 for an adult coming in. I think the gates open 4:15. Racing starts about 7. You don't want to miss this, guys. It's a good time. I cannot say enough about Veterans Motorplex. I love those guys. It is a lot of fun. I had no idea how much I loved racing until I started going again, and it is an absolute blast. It's just exciting to see those cars flying around that track and seeing the teenagers that are out there racing. It's so much fun. And they'll do games with the kids. They're going to have some fundraisers for Down syndrome this weekend. I think they're doing a Dunkin' booth. But it's at 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. Season runs through the end of October, so you got to get out there. 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. If you've got questions, give Jerry a call, 615-430-3135, 615-430-3135. The old Highland Rim Speedway, that's where you follow them. Highland Rim Speedway, Veterans Motorplex at the Rim. When you get there, let them know you did.
Again, tonight is the Guardians concert at Ebenezer Baptist Church at 7 o'clock. There's a great trio that we're playing on the radio now called Peach Goldman. They have a contemporary flavor that you'd probably really like. The beautiful, beautiful harmonies. They're going to be at Unity Free Will Baptist Church, which is, mailing address is Greenbrier, but it's much, much, much closer to White House, on October the 24th. On a Thursday night, and then also going to have the Dixie Echoes. They're a quartet from Pensacola, Florida. They're going to be at Unity Free Will Baptist Church also on September the 20th, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. And then on August the 29th, South Haven Baptist Church here in Springfield is having their annual gospel music sampler. They'll have a couple of the local, there'll be a local bluegrass band. There'll be some contemporary, some southern, some trios, some quartets, some choir music, some worship music. Mm-hmm. That's going to be on Thursday night, August the 29th.
Okay.
At 7 o'clock, and that's a fundraiser for their Lydia ministry at South Haven. Mm-hmm. But again, AmericanTopGospel.com, or look on Facebook for American Top Gospel, my page there, and you'll see all the stuff that I know about that's going on in our area that would fit the genre of music that we're playing here.
That's awesome. I love it. I'm so glad I got a chance to sit. Thank you, Lee Marie, for.
Yeah, thank you, Lee Marie.
That's perfect. And I've got your phone number now, and I'm going to be reaching out to you more and bringing you.
Please,
in.
that's
okay, because
that's great.
Because Faith Friday, I really like to concentrate on that. Sometimes we'll kind of slide and do something a little different, but I like concentrating on that. And my Fourth Fridays are open. Okay. I've been trying to get Doc Brown in here. I think he's mad at me.
We can talk more about my church next time.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go ahead and I'm teasing Doc Brown. I know you love me. I need to get to. I don't know if you know about Wild Roots. If y'all haven't figured out Wild Roots, guys, y'all need to go. He's amazing. I'll talk more about that later. Real quick, I may go a minute over.
Okay.
Don't forget about Recovery Fest tomorrow.
Yes.
Please come out. If you've got anything you need in recovery, come and see us. It's at noon to 3 tomorrow at the fairgrounds. I'll be there. A lot of bands are going to be there. My friends from Epiphany, We Imperfect Few, they're playing. They're going to premiere one of their new songs. But it's the Recovery Fest at the fairgrounds tomorrow, noon to 3. Judge Joel Perry's going to be in the dunking booth. Come on.
Hey.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Make it one. But tell them before we go, how do they come and worship with you guys on Sunday?
We are located at 2427 Highway 41 South in Greenbrier, next to the Wishy Washy, across from the middle school ball field. Mm-hmm. We have breakfast at 9:30, a light breakfast, and at 10 o'clock our service starts. And very casual dress. Just come. Sometimes we get some really great discussions going. We meet kind of coffee shop style around tables and chairs, and sometimes it's more preachy, sometimes it's more conversation.
Well, that
But
sounds wonderful.
anyone's welcome Sunday morning to come be with us.
Okay, do you meet
Organic
any other
Community
time, or
Church.
is it just Sunday morning?
Right now, we're just doing Sunday mornings. We have, from time to time, we'll have a midweek thing for a few weeks, but right now we're just on Sunday morning.
Okay, very good. Tell me the time again.
10 o'clock Sunday morning, 9:30 breakfast, 10 o'clock will be our worship.
Thank you.